The big question is, what can the Rangers do for an encore after a 39-run night? In any event, the Seattle Mariners arrive in Arlington to face the suddenly lethal bats of the Texas Rangers in the first of four. Jeff Weaver gets the call for Seattle while Texas counters with Cameron Lowe. Game time set for 7:35 p.m. at Rangers Ballpark. Cooperstown may have already placed a call to the Rangers for some of their bats. They produced an astounding 30 runs in the first game of their doubleheader sweep against the Orioles. Texas held a 5-3 lead midway through, then they unleashed the Giants within. The Rangers banged out 9 in the 6th, 10 in the 8th, and followed that up with 6 more in the 9th.
Right field and deep, and it's gone! A 3-run home run for Vasquez. Texas has put 30 runs on the board. 30 runs.
Vasquez and Jared Saltalamacchia each had 2 homers and 7 RBIs from the bottom of the order, while 6 of the 9 starters had at least 3 hits. The second game almost seems like an afterthought, but Texas won that one too. They scored 3 in the 8th to come from behind and win 9-7. After being called up from the minors earlier in the day, Terry Metcalf knocked in 4 runs, just as he had done in the opener. The Mariners, on the other hand, scored only 4 runs yesterday. Their attempt to sweep the Twins came up short as Miguel Batista allowed a grand slam and 7 first-inning runs. After the 8-4 loss, Seattle sits just 2 games back in the AL West and have a game-and-a-half lead on the Yankees for the AL wildcard. Jeff Weaver has been streaky this year. Last Saturday, he won his 3rd straight, beating the White Sox for the 2nd time in a week. The well-traveled veteran started the season off 0-6. Since then, he has had several winning and losing streaks. Cameron Lowe went 5 shutout innings versus Minnesota his last time out, earning his first win since July 1st. The sinker baller has struggled at home, winning just twice and posting an ERA over 6. Here's some more from last night's 30-3 shellacking. The 30 runs was the most scored in the majors in 110 years. The Rangers also set a major league record for RBIs in a game with 30, tied the AL mark with 57 at-bats, hit 2 grand slams, and set a new record for most runs scored in a doubleheader. Somehow the second game lasted 7 minutes longer than the opener. You go figure, and you add up all the minutes and time. Yesterday, Ichiro spent the final 3 innings on the bench with the Twins comfortably ahead 8-0. Manager John McLaren had planned on giving Ichiro a full day off in Texas, but now he might reconsider. Ichiro is the only Mariners player to appear in every game. It's the Mariners and the Rangers. On the mound, it's Weaver versus Lowe. Game time set for 7:35 p.m. in Texas. You can see it live on MLB.tv, beginning at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
History yesterday, but that was Baltimore, Maryland. And now a new day, and it's back home in Arlington. The Rangers will entertain the Seattle Mariners, who promised not to give up 39 runs in a single sitting. 30 in Game 1, 9 in Game 2 yesterday. It really was something to watch. Along with Tom Grieve, I'm Josh Lewin. They say good hitting is contagious, and the Rangers were a veritable Hong Kong flu yesterday. It was something. Jared Saltalamacchia was right there helping out in the whipping.
Well, the Rangers' future depends on young players like Jared Saltalamacchia. Got off to a little bit of a slow start when he joined the Rangers. Not sure whether his future will be as a catcher or a first baseman, but he's going to be hitting in the middle of the Ranger lineup, and the road trip went very well for Jared. On the road trip, he hit .333, hit a couple of home runs in Minnesota, and then, of course, he had the huge game yesterday where he hit a couple of home runs and knocked in 7 runs. So things started going very well for him on the road trip, and now I know he's intent to try to keep it up during this homestand.
His bat's going to the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of good things happening now for Jared Saltalamacchia. Cam Lowe is on the mound tonight, but for just a little bit of that run support that Kaysen Gabbard got in Game 1 yesterday. The Rangers and Seattle coming up next. Baseball brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Bold moves, Ford is the best in Texas. By Progressive for a money-saving car insurance quote. Call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. By Jack in the Box, we don't make it till you order it. And by Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the Rangers. Visit southwest.com. Tonight coming at you in spectacular FSN high definition. The Rangers Coming off the historic doubleheader sweep of the Baltimore Orioles, the Rangers had scored 10 runs in 53 innings, Tom, and then they scored 30 over their next 6. Yeah, that was just game 1. Game 2 was pretty good too. The Rangers won 9-7, but 30 seems to be the number that's on everybody's mind today. Travis Metcalf wears that number, and he's back in the lineup tonight. First, we got to meet and greet the Mariners, though. Ichiro goes first, and then Jose Vidro and Jose Guillen. The rest of the Southwest Airlines lineup: Ibanez, who's been sizzling here in August. Beltre at third, Richie Sexton at first, Kenji Jojima catching, Lopez at second, and Betancourt at short. Cam Lowe, the Rico scouting report, a 5.56 earned run average, and his opponent, by the way, Jeff Weaver, 5.57. Very evenly matched tandem here tonight. Ichiro fouls one. Now, the control has been a bit of an issue of late, but as always, Cam's about the ground ball. Keeps it down. A 2-to-1 ground ball to fly ball ratio. Grounder to second. That's a nice way to get things going. Keep Ichiro, the second leading hitter in the American League, to a simple ground out to Vasquez. Vasquez in for Kinsler. And take a look around, and there are a couple of different looks out there defensively for the Rangers tonight. I think most notably David Murphy in center field. Marlon Byrd has got the night off, and Vasquez in for Kinsler. Busted bat. There's a steady Michael Young at short.
Can't start much better than that for Cam Lowe. 2 quick outs. Cam pitched well in Minnesota. He had 5 innings in that game, shutout ball. He did walk 5, but most of the walks came on sinkers that had great movement, just kind of sunk out of the strike zone. Thought his pitches were terrific in that game. And a good sign is for him to get a lot of ground balls.
Now, the Mariners, who got in, as was reported, around 7 o'clock last night. Well, imagine that, Tom. They get into the hotel, they're checking in, they got the ball game up on the TV in the lobby bar. They walk in and they see, the team we're playing tomorrow is leading 30-3 in the 9th inning. That was the final in game 1, 30-3.
Well, I guess if the 30 yesterday had any consequence whatsoever on this series, they might have looked at that and worried a little bit about it. But I think you look at that, a game before you play a team, it's pretty insignificant what happens in the game prior to it. What happens in this game pretty much depends on the pitching that you see. And Jeff Weaver's been pitching real well for Seattle.
Well, we've used words like fluke and anomaly and things like that. And I had a buddy of mine who's in the data analysis business. Tom was telling you this before the game. He figured out, plugging in all the variables, the odds of seeing what we saw yesterday at any point by that Ranger team was about 6 million to 1.
It's winning the lottery.
Jackpot. The odds of it happening on precisely that game, if you were to say, hey, tonight's the night they get 30, that was more like 6 billion to 1. And Ron Washington's Geico quote, he said, I'm just so happy we weren't on the other end of it.
That's my sentiments exactly.
Because it is. It's just one of those freaky deaky things. And yes, if it's going to happen in a game that you're involved in, better you're on the plus 27 side of that. That was one of the records set yesterday, the largest winning margin in Major League Baseball history.
There's a happy little guy.
Three 2 to Jose Guillen. He's going to bounce it foul. I don't know about you, Tom. I mean, the scorecard from yesterday, mine looks like a big pen factory exploded.
On the back half of it.
Yeah.
The front looks fairly normal. A lot of marks on those last 4 innings, though.
Rangers went from 30 strikeouts in 2 games to 30 runs in 1 game. Another ground ball shows you Cam Lowe is sharp to get things going tonight. Michael Young lines it across the diamond, and down go the Mariners in order. Jeff Weaver on the mound. When we come back, there is no score. 6-game road trip, won by 27. Travis Metcalf was part of that. The Southwest Airlines batting order here tonight. Catalinato and Wilkerson in for the ailing Gerald Laird. Gerald with the flu-like symptoms held out tonight. So if you scan down, you see Saltalamacchia is catching. And Wilkerson is playing first. Metcalf and Vasquez, the 8-9 guys. A couple of games ago, the 8 and 9 guys combined for 14 runs batted in. So take that, Jeff Weaver. Here's the Rico scouting report on the second lanky right-hander to take the mound tonight. Cam Lowe went first.
Well, the numbers don't look good when you look at his season numbers with a 5.57 ERA, but that's very deceiving. He was terrible in April. He was terrible in May, but he's been a lot better since then, especially in his last 3 starts. His last 3 starts have gone very well for him. 2.78 ERA. He's won all 3 of them. Opponent's batting average, this is interesting. First time through the lineup, opponents hit close to 400. Get him early, I guess, is the message there. After that, he pitches a lot better. If you look at what he's done in April and May, he was 0-6. His ERA was somewhere between 12 and 13. Since then, though, in 13 starts, he's been pitching really well. He's 5-4, and his ERA is 3.30. So recently, and in most of his starts and most of his innings, he's pitching very well. And that's what counts, not what happened in April and May.
And what happened in April and May, you're right, Tom, was just unbelievable. Here's a guy that got an $8.3 million contract on the strength of a World Series victory in Game 5 for the Cardinals. And, well, the Mariners looked like they got snookered there for the first couple of months. April was 0-4, 18.26. May wasn't much better. And when they shut him down with shoulder tendonitis, he had allowed 51 hits in 22 innings. Catalinato fouls one. These guys were teammates in Detroit years ago, Weaver and the Cat. Pretty amazing, though, Jeff Weaver. I mean, he had the right agent, apparently. Did a lot of talking about the big game pitching that he did against the Tigers in the World Series. Talked about his durability. And a guy who last year had 8 wins and an ERA of 5.76 signed one of the biggest one-year deals on the market this offseason. That's inside to Catalinato, 2-2. Mariners apparently feeling as though it's spring training all over again tonight, wearing those spring training jerseys.
So ugly. There's just nothing big league about that uniform. Fine for batting practice.
Catalinato driving one. Ichiro going back and over, makes the catch.
Well, that ball carried pretty well. Cat just reached out and stroked that ball almost to the warning track in left center field. Hit that ball about 380 feet.
The Mariners defensively in the ugliest jersey tops ever. Ibanez, Ichiro, and Guillen in the outfield. Beltre, Betancourt, Lopez, Sexton in the infield. That's a shocking stat to me, Tag. Betancourt with 22 errors.
I'm not sure if they're careless errors, exactly how he's throwing errors, how he's made them, but from the times we've seen Betancourt, he's looked pretty slick out there defensively.
Wilkerson, who again was not in the original lineup for Ron Washington tonight, was not in the Game 1 lineup yesterday. The Rangers with that 30-run outburst without their leading home run man, Wilkerson, and without their leading RBI man, Mr. Sosa. Wilkerson kind of looks back at home plate umpire Mike DeMuro, who said that was a strike.
What happened to the ball? Joachim fired the ball and ended up towards second base. Must have hit the umpire with his arm as he threw the ball.
That is Mike Tamiro back there. Tim Cheetah at first, Jim Joyce, Jim Wolf elsewhere on the bases tonight. Weaver brings the 1-2. Wilkerson takes 2 high. Well, the Rangers get this Seattle team, Tom, right now. I mean, they are definitely in a division race. They're in a wild card race. So the rest of the way for these guys, these are big games. They're in a stretch of 44 games in 45 days to end the season. So John McLaren, who took over from Mike Hargrove, kind of no rest for the weary.
And the last time they were here, they didn't have a real good time of it. The Rangers won all 4 games. Every one was a 1-run game.
Wilkerson parachutes it into center field. A base hit. Last time we saw John McLaren, he had that arm in a sling too. Coming off the rotator cuff surgery. Tom, we should mention that there's been some concern about Akinori Otsuka. Speaking of surgery, some speculation that Aki might need that. Now, the last we heard, he will not need surgery, but the Rangers are going to shut him down for the rest of the year. We will not see Akinori Otsuka pitch the rest of 2007.
That seems pretty logical based on exactly how it's gone for him the last month. It just never seemed to come around. And I think from Aki's perspective, he just wants to know what's wrong and what he needs to do. And it sounds like rest is what he needs to do.
Well, it gives C.J. Wilson a chance to keep on as a closer for the rest of the year. C.J. has just seized that opportunity. Of course, C.J. had just one of 2 Ranger saves yesterday. The other one was by Wes Littleton, as he somehow managed to hang on to a 27-run lead in the 9th inning.
Yeah, it's too bad because Wes pitched well in that game. He pitched 3 innings, gave up a couple of hits, didn't give up any runs. And all of us are kind of ridiculing the save, but
it's not his fault.
You know, it's too bad he got a save. But the fact is, he pitched 3 good innings.
Not what Jerome Holtzman had in mind when he came up with that whole save stat years ago. But I think we said at the time, or I said at the time, it may well be the stupidest save in the history of Major League Baseball. But you can't mask the fact it was 3 very strong innings. And the Rangers did make a roster move before the game today. I'll tell you about it in just a moment. The Rangers designating Adam Melhuse for assignment. And Melhuse was going to have a tough time getting playing time, I think, Tom. The Rangers bring Scott Feldman up yet again to be in that bullpen. Yeah,
with Travis Metcalf here, he's going to play third base a lot. That was really the only way Adam was getting into a game at third base, because Laird and Saltalamacchia were sharing the catching duties.
Solely hit to second base. 4 to 6 to 3, a double play, and Weaver is out of the inning. Now the Rangers were scoreless through 3 in game 1 in Baltimore yesterday too, keep in mind. It is 0-0 at the end of 1. Stan, there is no score at the end of 1, and we go to Jim Knox.
Thank you, Josh. Special hot ticket time tonight. That's right. Call 972 Rangers for $10 seats. You can probably sit next to Josh and Tom out in the bleachers when they broadcast from the seats back. That will be on August 29th. So call 972 Rangers for your $10 seats in the bleachers with Josh and Tom. And check out this group right here, group of Ranger fans wanting 31 runs tonight, right?
Absolutely. We did 30 last night. We're figuring, why not? Let's make some more Major League history tonight.
Right. 31 runs could be a piece of cake. Why not? Okay, what else we have? What do the signs say?
Si se puede. We can do it.
We can do it. And the target for the final home run. There you go. All right, guys, good to have you out here. Appreciate it. Thanks, Josh.
They're going to have to move the target for a home run, I guess, Jim. They're in foul ground on the third base side, but it's the thought that counts. That's cool. Now Ibanez, a bouncing ball, a base hit against Cam Lowe, and it's another ground ball. That one just happened to skid up the middle, and Ibanez, the way he's been going, Tag, I guess you're not totally surprised.
Well, last 16 games, Ibanez has been hitting 420. He got hot, and the Mariners have started to roll. Ibanez hitting back in the middle of the lineup now, batting fourth. Ibanez has hit 9 home runs and knocked in 21 runs in the last 16 games.
Yeah, he had 6 home runs as of August 2nd. All of a sudden, he's got 15. There's a strike to Beltre.
It didn't look like Ibanez was going to have much of a year earlier in the year when we played the Mariners. But here it is with 6 weeks to go, and he's leading the team with 83 RBIs. And if he keeps playing decently offensively, he's going to knock in 100 runs again and have pretty much the year you would expect him to. His average is up to 277. And Beltre's been hot too. Beltre had 30 runs batted in July. That was #1 in the major leagues for July. And he's hit 318 in his last 42 ball games. Well, their offense is coming alive a little bit.
They've had 10 hits or more 6 straight games, and I guess Mariner fever is gripping the Pacific Northwest tag. That's all I can think of as to why Seattle's mayor would proclaim this coming Monday Mariners Monday in the entire city of Seattle. So good for them.
Well, when the Mariners were winning and contending, Safeco was a very exciting place to be. Not sold out every night, but boy, there was well over 40,000 every night. And that's what they're trying to recapture. And to recapture it, they're going to have to be a contender.
So right now, they are a couple games back in the AL West. They're a game and a half up in the wild card. Runner goes, hard foul. Mariners trying to stave off the Yankees of all teams in the wild card. Jack in the Box standings showing you the Mariners and Yankees are the 2 top teams in that wild card division. I think you can probably say goodbye to the Twins, the A's, and the Jays, but not the Tigers. 4 back there, and now 2.5 back in the AL Central because the Indians beat them again today. Oh, I mentioned the Rangers and the Mariners last time they played here. It was just a month ago, 4-game series. And the Rangers swept the series, winning all 4 games by 1 run. Another foul. Again, that hard sinker from Cam Lowe that produces a lot of that kind of foul from a right-hander. Actually, all 5 games that have been played between these 2 teams here this year have been 1-run games. The Mariners won the first one, and the Rangers the last 4. This time in the air and down in front of Catalinato. So Cam Lowe, who had to do some fancy stepping in Minnesota last time, going to be asked to do that again. 2 on, nobody out.
Well, Ibanez hit a ground ball up the middle. You mentioned it. If you're a ground ball pitcher, you're going to get a lot of ground balls. Some of them are going to find holes, but it's kind of a harmless ground ball that found a hole. And Beltre, a relatively long at bat, just looped a little soft single in front of Catalinato in left field. Didn't hit that ball that hard. A couple of harmless balls, but they both found holes, and they both turned out to be base hits.
Richie Sexton's never had a lot of luck against Cam Lowe. 1 for 12. The battle of 6'8" human beings right here, Lowe and Sexton. That's kind of been the typical Sexton season right there as a Mariner, Tom. A low batting average, but the decent number of home runs.
He's been one of those guys who's been a streaky hitter. Doesn't hit for high average. That ball sunk so much it looked like a foul tip.
Yeah.
But Jared jumped on it and got it before any of the runners could move up. But when Sexton gets hot, he can carry a team. He'll put up some big power numbers, home runs and RBIs. You just hope you catch him when it's cold. But he's been hitting a little bit better. Last couple of weeks he's been hitting over 300. And they really need him to get hot. He's kind of the one guy that hasn't gotten hot for him. But even in a cold year like he's having, he still has 21 home runs and over 60 runs back in it. But it hasn't been a complete washout.
Well, the Mariners, I mean, I think the thing that we kind of hinted at when we talked about them yesterday, Tom, I mean, they're not having anybody with what you'd say is an A or an A+ season, at least in terms of their own capabilities. But when everybody together has like a B+ all up and down the lineup, and you're pitching well enough, 71-53 can be your record after 124 games.
And they really don't have any glaring weaknesses. They played really good defense. Guys at the top of the lineup when you get on base. Ichiro is playing well. And everybody in the lineup is at least a solid hitter, even if they're not having great years. That ball sunk out of the strike zone, number 4. You can see it a little bit inside.
Welcome back, Tracker. Get spoiled by the Tracker technology, you know. That one's called a strike. Well, we mentioned the Mariners at 71-53. The Rangers, one of a bunch of teams in baseball with about the same record, 56-70. Exact same record as the White Sox and the Royals and the Reds. The Astros were within a half a game of that. The Nationals, the Marlins. There's a nicely done at bat for low, as he again keeps it low, down and away from Richie Sexson.
Well, he gave up a couple of hits. He got behind Sexson, 3 balls and 1 strike, threw a strike and then a terrific sinker. I mean, you know it's a good sinker. Sinker's a fastball that moves and sinks, obviously, but when you make a hitter take that kind of a swing at a fastball, it really shows you how much the ball moved. Usually you'll see that kind of a swing on a slider out of the strike zone or maybe a changeup. But when you're fooled like that on a sinker, a fastball, it really shows you the ball has great life on it.
I'm just throwing this out there, Tom. I could be completely wrong, but you know, a guy like Jojima, who's 4 for 5 in a very short sample against low. Jojima is about 5'11", 6 foot tall, a little more compact of a player. Doesn't have as far to go with the bat to reach down and get a hold of one of those sinkers. Sexson, who's just all arms and legs, 6'8", and has that big can't get cheated kind of swing. He's now 1 for 13 against Cam Lowe in that sinker.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a correlation there or not, but Sexton's hit a lot of home runs and driven in a lot of runs with that same strike zone, so chances are he's hit the low pitch pretty well. You know, certain guys may be better equipped to hit a sinker than others, and in Jojima's case, in only 5 at bats, maybe he got some at bats where the ball wasn't sinking very well. He never really saw Cam's good sinker. So I'm not exactly sure if that's meaningful or not.
But Jojima's general approach, though, right, is a guy that just makes contact, tries to put the ball in play.
Yeah, I think Jojima's a good, solid hitter like that.
Again, it's Cam Lowe against Jeff Weaver tonight. Guys whose ERAs are within .01 of each other. The great thing about being a sinker ball pitcher, you get a couple men on, 1 out. You are 1 good sinker away from getting out of the inning. Now Cam and Saltalamacchia having a tough time getting together on what to do on 1 and 2. Remember, Gerald Laird was supposed to be catching tonight. About an hour and a half before the game, the Rangers made the switch. Laird with those flu-like symptoms, and Saltalamacchia a chance to catch instead. Lowe's 1-2. Down and outside. And you know, the Rangers with the Vasquez at second, Wilkerson at first, a little different look in the infield. You got Murphy in center tonight. Vasquez, who was at third yesterday.
Well, a couple of the guys that played both games of the doubleheader, Bird and Kinsler, are getting the day off today.
There's one of those grounders. It's foul. the Rangers want to play the hot hand if they can with David Murphy out there in center field. A lot of people have emailed us, said they can't tell the difference facially between David Murphy and Cam Lowe. So
they look like brothers.
One guy's got a little facial hair down on the chin. One does not. That's pretty much about it. There's the ground ball. It gets past Young and into center field. Murphy's going to field it. Now Jojima's 5 for 6 against Cam, and Seattle's on top 1-0.
3 little dinky hits, couple ground balls and a blooper to left field. Jojima got jammed on that high pitch, but he hit it right straight up the middle, a lot like Ibanez did, trying to get the ball in on him. The ball really didn't sink down in the strike zone, but it was still a good pitch. It got in on his fists. Would have been a simple double play if it was hit at somebody.
Now the batter, Jose Lopez, who's been killing the Rangers all year. 17 out of 41 against them. Not quite the all-star season that Lopez had a year ago. Another grounder. It is foul. A thirsty Thursday here at the ballpark tonight. The fans in attendance can see the facial similarity of Cam Lowe and David Murphy. They could be brothers. Another grounder. Metcalf has got it. Races to the bag. Throws on the run. And Metcalf continues to do a lot of nice things at third base. A lot of grounders in the inning. The last one helping the Rangers turn 2. The opener of a 4-game series, and later tonight our Texas Truck Stop, brought to you by Dodge. Hank Blaylock will tell us about his most memorable game. Can't be the 30-3 game. He didn't play in it. Hank's been on the DL, of course, for the last 3 months. The Rangers finding out about some other guys at third base. Well, the Rangers had Vasquez out there yesterday, a guy that had no extra base hits in 14 games. And then he just went bonkers in game 1 of 2 Rangers to hit 2 home runs and knock in 7. The guy at the plate right now, Tag, had a very interesting game 1 yesterday. Jason Botts struck out 4 times, ended up with 3 hits. Brought the paper home with me from Baltimore this morning, and the one-word headline in huge bold lettering was drubbed.
Well, that pretty much, I guess, is an understatement.
They were hyper drubbed. Botts will send one towards the crowd. But, you know, as we kind of said right after game 1 yesterday, and I guess you got to reiterate it tonight, it's I suppose among the beautiful things about baseball, you play 162 regular season games, and in every one you're going to see something a little bit unusual. Sometimes you see something extremely unusual, like winning by 27 runs, but all that was game number 125 out of 162.
It does no good to analyze that game other than to talk about what happened in it, because there's no meaning to that game. It doesn't mean anything other than the Rangers had a big offensive night and won a ball game. There's no carryover effect. It doesn't mean the Rangers suddenly became the best offensive team in the American League. It doesn't mean the Orioles are a terrible team, that those pitchers shouldn't be in the big leagues. It's just one night, one game where things fell into place. Every ball that was put in play fell in, even the ones that were hit softly.
Right.
Their pitchers made more mistakes than normal, and you had a fluke that hadn't happened in 110 years. But to analyze it, to try to figure out what it means, it's totally a meaningless game.
Right. Well, it's like a guy hitting for the cycle and saying, well, this guy, look out, because he's capable of hitting a single, double, triple, and homer tonight. happened in one game. That's great. But tonight it's all about Jeff Weaver and what he's got out there on the mound. And I think you'd have to say early on, Tom, it's not bad stuff.
Well, Weaver's been pitching great in his last. We talked about his last 3 starts. He's won all of them. His ERA in those 3 starts has been under 3. But even though his numbers look bad, another thing we've mentioned, in his last 13 starts since he went on the disabled list and came off the disabled list, he's pitched 85 innings and he's won 5 out of 9 decisions with a real good ERA. So he has been pitching for most of the season after the first 2 months like they expected him to, and maybe the first 2 months had something to do with a sore shoulder because he went on the disabled list with shoulder tendonitis. Maybe he was trying to justify his contract, pitched through some pain, and took his lumps because of it. But once he got healthy and came back from the DL, I think the Mariners are seeing exactly what they hope to see. You just can't judge him by the 5-10 record and a 5.57 earned run average.
Although you also can't judge him by the 2.7 ERA in the World Series last year. Now, I mean, if you're going to do some great pitching, as Cruz draws a walk here with 1 out, obviously that's the time to do it. He was taking on the team that drafted him and brought him along, the Tigers. 13 innings over 2 starts. He started game 2 and game 5. 2 walks, 14 strikeouts. And he was indeed the guy that pitched so well in the decisive game 5. 8 innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts. And what you have to admit was kind of a weird World Series. I mean, the Cardinals, as Cruz goes, and Saltalamacchia hits it in the air to center. Ichiro on the move. He's got it.
So last night, that same pitch and that same swing hit the ball right on the square part of the ball and drove it out of the ballpark. Tonight, just a little bit underneath it. Same swing, good swing. He just popped it up, just missed it. And last night, he had 9 guys not making any mistakes when they swung.
The perfect storm.
It was a perfect storm of offensive effort.
And Tom, real quick, back to that World Series that Weaver was in last year. The Cardinals got there with, 83 wins. Won the whole thing. The Tigers, who had been so fundamentally sound all year, they imploded in the World Series. Every game, every single game, they had a throwing error from a pitcher.
Yeah, that didn't help them at all. I think the thing that hurt them the most, and there's no way to quantify it, is the delay that they had between the end of the American League Series and the start of the World Series. They had 3 or 4 days off, and it just really seemed like they lost their momentum. They were the best team in baseball at the end of the season and through the first part of the playoffs, but they just lost their edge, and the Cardinals got on a roll, and they stayed on it right through the World Series. And what that meant was, for a week, the Cardinals were the better team, but for 6 months they weren't. But it just goes to show, if you can play well enough, just well enough to get into the playoffs, anything can happen. Because any team in baseball, even a last place team, over a short period of time, can get hot and beat any of the better teams. See it all the time.
Murphy, a grounder to second. And that is that in the bottom of inning 2. Seattle with a run in the top of the second, leading 1-0. Ranger Baseball brought to you by your Texas Dodge dealers, also by Geico and by Rico. Nice night for baseball here. It's a pretty shot right there. Rangers and Seattle Mariners opening up a 4-game series tonight. And the White Sox come in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. Cam Lowe facing Unieski Betancourt. 9-1-2 in the order here. Ichiro, then Jose Vidro. The Mariners team has been hanging in with the LA Angels pretty much all summer here, Tom. They're just 1 game back in the loss column. I think one thing that's going to be a factor is fatigue for Seattle already, because of their pure geography where Seattle is located. They travel more than any team in baseball, and because of all those rainouts and snowouts they've got to make up, one off day over the last 45 days of the season.
Yeah, that's not an easy schedule by any means. They're helped a little bit by the call-ups in September, but still, the call-ups in September aren't the guys you want to be playing in a pennant race. They'll give you personnel on the bench to rest people if you want to, but they're not the same talent as the 9 regulars that you want to throw out there as often as you can.
Vasquez makes a play on a Wilkerson. 1 down. We go to Jim Knox.
All right, thank you, Josh. Real treat for you and Tom. We got the first African Freedom Drummers on hand. What brings you guys to the game?
We're here to greet the young people from DISD, from Burundi, the refugees from Sudan and Kenya, from East Africa.
Very nice. And they were playing on the concourse. Their 10-year-old manager, what's your name?
I'm Ayende, and I'm the 10-year-old manager of the First Africa Freedom Drummers.
And you guys are going to play a little treat for us. Go ahead and sit down, and let's hear a little sample of your work. Go ahead, guys. Thank you, guys. All right, very good. How come you're not playing?
He's too busy managing. Yeah, there's a line drive by Ichiro into center field. We'll get you from one continent to another. Is representing Japan. Ichiro sends one into center, and he's always a threat to run. Got 36 steals. Ichiro, I guess the one thing about being in the West, Tom, is we're afforded the possibility of talking about Ichiro during, what do you figure, about 75 or 80 at bats this season?
Let's see, we played him about 19 times. Yeah, probably about 85 at bats.
And there's certain self-evident truths about Ichiro. You just kind of run him out there, it seems, in the first game of a series. That the guy's a magician with the bat. He's fascinating. He's obviously very fast. Gold glove capability, great arm. We mention every once in a while he just decides he wants to turn on one. He can launch a home run when he feels like it. And it seems as though now, as Ichiro has now been at this 6 going on 7 years in the States, some of the Ichiro fever is finally beginning to die down just a little in Seattle. They've written 3 or 4 books on the guy. I mean, there's DVDs out. They've printed about every T-shirt possible with Ichiro's visage on it. So, I mean, right at the time where you figure, okay, maybe people are starting to get bored with Ichiro, I just don't think that's true, because every time you're at the ballpark, the guy, your eyes are just kind of drawn to him.
Yeah, I'm not sure who you're talking about that's bored with him, but I know one thing. You would have seen Ichiro fever if they didn't sign into that extension to his contract. They would have boycotted the stadium.
I'm not saying that, for the first couple of years, it was kind of the new flavor. Wow, this is cool. Guy comes over from Japan. They're learning all about him.
Yeah, it's not new anymore, but the level of excellence that he plays at is on display every single day. And I think the fans of Seattle have identified with that. Love to go out and watch him play. And I don't think they've grown tired of him at all. Maybe it's not new anymore, but I don't think the excitement over the way he plays the game, the passion he has for the game, and the way he plays the game has changed at all.
Every year there's just a little something different, a little twist. Although, some things are very consistent. You look at the number of runs scored for Ichiro, for example. Over the last 5 years, it's been 111, 111, 101, 111, and 110. That would be fairly consistent. Over the mound, and Young has to get rid of it in a hurry. He gets Jose Vidro.
Well, that ball, there's a ground ball up the middle, but fortunately he chopped it right into the ground, so it never got through the infield. But it was a ground ball that wasn't hit hard enough to turn a double play. Fortunately, it wasn't hit hard at all, and Mike was able to make the play on it. That's a good sinker down and away. And really, if you swing at that pitch, and it's pretty close to being a strike, not much you can do with it other than beat it into the ground like that. That's just the result of throwing a good, solid sinker up there with excellent movement on it.
Inside to Jose Guillen, who's got a 6-game hitting streak coming in tonight. I think that's another potentially fascinating subplot tag of the Mariners and Angels going down the wire with each other. Guillen hates the Angels, and the Angels hate Guillen.
Yeah, there's no love lost in that relationship, that's for sure.
Solid shot. Look at that play by Michael Young. He fires. He got it. Michael is not going to let that ball skid by him.
That makes up for one of those weak ground balls that got through the infield. There's a base hit and a run taken away on a smash.
Forming on the patio here at the ballpark before this Saturday's game. Gates open at 4:30. Concert at 5:30. Ball game at 7:35. Concert admission free with your Rangers game ticket. 972 Rangers. How to get that done. Rangers also home tomorrow night. Back to school backpacks to the first 7,000 kids 13 and under. That's courtesy of our friends at Dr. Pepper. Travis Metcalf, who just flat wore out the Seattle Mariners back in July. Remember how hot Travis was in that series? It was amazing to watch him, and it was in support of Cam Lowe 4 weeks ago. He had that game where he went 4 for 4, 2 singles, a double, and a triple. The double was the game winner, knocked in a run in the bottom of the 8th. And the hope was that Travis could carry that hot streak with him, go on to Kansas City, where he's from, and continue to just light it up. But unfortunately, he didn't get a single hit in Kansas City. What he did have was a 9 for 15 against the Seattle Mariners last time, but he's down on strikes to begin the 3rd.
We keep talking about the first game yesterday when Travis had the grand slam. His big game was the second game. He had the 2-run double to start the game, a strikeout on good side on break. Then he had a sacrifice fly that he hit hard. He had another long fly ball, but the big hit was with men at first and second. Got behind in the count 0-2 to a guy throwing 98 miles an hour and hit a ball to right field for a base hit to tie the game. Played some nice defense at third base, made some good plays. It was a good doubleheader for Travis. The second game, he was really important with the contribution he made.
This guy was all about game 1. Vasquez, who had a couple of 3-run home runs and narrowly missed a third. He got out in front of a changeup. Ended up getting a base hit later in that at bat anyway, but a little half swing right here.
Snuck it by him.
Beltre able to wing it across, 2 down. Oh, you were just talking about Travis Metcalf, Tom. Our sonic good replay ends up wearing the magic number. Rob Bell also number 30 on the mound. Metcalf number 30 for the Rangers.
That was his grand slam. That was his double in his first at bat in the second game. Started a nice double play. Can't turn it any quicker than that. That's the base hit to tie the game. Scored Cruz on a base hit to right field. A nice play on that pop-up. Good, well-rounded doubleheader for him. Played defense and had a long ball, had a base hit. He did the job yesterday.
Not only did he have a long ball, he had a long day yesterday. It started in Oklahoma City in the morning.
Yeah.
Catalanato able to jerk one into the right field corner. And he's going to step around first, go on his way to second base. Jose Guillen's throw not in time. Boy, Catalanato, and it's taken a while, Tom, but here he comes. He is now 23 for 55 here in the month of August.
Well, he was down a little bit below 200 or a little bit above 200 for most of the year. And with that base hit, he's starting to get right near 270. Well, it has been a nice climb for Cat. Took him a little while to get going. Michael got his start after a bad start, going a little bit sooner. Michael got up to 300. Cat started a little bit later, but it's been a nice steady climb up to the 270 area.
Wilkerson lays off, takes a strike. The Rangers will have Kevin Millwood on the mound tomorrow. Again, a 7:35 first pitch. 7:35 Saturday and Sunday as well. Wilkerson blasting away to right field. That ball's going to go. 2-run home run.
run too many off-speed pitches. He started Wilkie off with a curveball for a strike and threw him another off-speed pitch right there. Only this time Brad waited on it. It was a little more out over the plate, a little bit more to his liking. This pitch was a little bit inside. But that changeup was right to his liking, right out over the plate, and he launched it off the facing of the upper deck.
Wilkerson homered off Weaver last year at the ballpark. Also, I believe, right off that upper deck facing.
Nice 2-out rally.
Should be a free latte for somebody right there. Rangers catapult on top 2-1. Michael Young lays off and he takes a strike. So Wilkerson now closest to 20 home runs for the Rangers this year. He's got 18. Not bad for a guy who only learned he was playing about an hour and a half before the game tonight. Jeff Weaver gets mad now and blows away Michael Young to end the inning. But Catalanato's double and Wilkerson's homer, making it 2-1 Texas at the end of 3. On top 2-1. The big league record for the most runs scored in consecutive games by one ball club. Rangers didn't get it. They went 30 then 9 yesterday for a total of 39. And that is impressive considering they had scored 10 runs total in 5 games before that doubleheader yesterday. The number of people, I don't know about you, Tom, but the number of people today that just kind of stopped and wanted to tell you where they were when they realized that it really was 30-3 or 24-3 at the time, 27-3. People that had turned off the game when it was 3-0 Baltimore. They go away, run a bunch of errands, come back, and Rangers have dropped a 30-run rally on the Orioles.
I'm sure there was a lot of people waiting to stop me, but unfortunately I never came out of the house today, so they never got their shot at me. No, I guess there's a few up at the place where she works out that had some comments and enjoyed the ball game, but I never quite got out of the house today.
That was a late night last night. Early arrival. There is a check swing as things are underway here in the 4th inning with Raul Ibanez at the plate. All things considered, a 3-3 road trip. Well, the Rangers not hating that. Ibanez way out in front of one.
Well, 3-3 looks pretty good when you go into the last day of the trip at 1-3. Overall, it's okay. I guess on the road you go 3-3. You're not too disappointed with that.
Well, you go 3-3 and make history in one of the games. Your team batting average jumps up 5 points in August in a game. That's pretty incredible. That ball jumps off the bat of Ibanez, still carries to the wall. Catalanato's got it.
Another way to look at it is you go 3-3 on a road trip where you face Johan Santana and Eric Bedard,
right?
And I guess to go 3-3 looks a little bit better too.
A couple of pieces of news from off the field today, Tom, involving David Wells and Craig Monroe. Both have new teams as of today. David Wells signs with the LA Dodgers. As the Dodgers try to come back on the Padres, the team that Boomer used to be with, and also the Diamondbacks. Craig Monroe gets picked up by the Cubs. So he jumps into a pennant race. 1-1 the count on Beltre now. Catalanato's last catch. Right in front of that guy. Thumbs up. Lowe gets it behind Beltre. Getting ahead 1-2. The Cubs have already played their game today. They lost in San Francisco 4-1. Matt Cain the winner, and he had a home run. Carlos Zambrano, who just signed that big contract extension, he lost it. So that opens it up for Milwaukee. The Brewers trying to jump back in and tie the Cubs. I believe the Brewers are off tonight, though. They'll have to wait till tomorrow to do that. Cam Lowe sinks it down on Beltre, strikes him out.
Beltre tipped it. You can always tell if a hitter tips it because he turns around to see if the catcher caught it. Watch Beltre after he swings at it.
That is a telltale turnaround.
He looks back. He knows he's tipped it. He's hoping it's not in the catcher's glove. But now he turns to walk back and he sees that it was in Saltalamacchia's glove. Now Cam's throwing the ball well. He gave up 3 hits in the second inning and ended up giving up a run. But Ibanez's ball was just a ground ball up the middle. Beltre hit a soft line drive to left, and then Jojima was jammed and hit a little weak ground ball to center field for the run batted in, scoring Ibanez. Since that time, giving up a hit to Ichiro on a solid line drive. Gotten a couple, 3 ground balls in the 3rd inning.
I mean, you really do like how everything is down, you know.
Well, he came off the disabled list. He was on the disabled list for a couple of weeks, came off the disabled list in Minnesota and threw the ball well for 5 innings. And he's kind of picking up right on that today. Very similar stuff, I think, today that he had in Minnesota.
Sexton, who is certainly prone to strike out. Count is 2-2 on him. Gets a piece. A couple other scores to report on. The Dodgers did get a win in Philly today, 5-2. Well, the Phillies starting to fade at just the wrong time. The Rockies are trying to hang in there, but the Pirates beat them 5-1. Cardinals trailing at home to Florida 4-1 in the 4th inning. Sexton, see you later. Struck out a couple times now, and he's 1 for 14 lifetime against Cam. Rangers still up 2-1. The Aflac Insurance trivia question: the big league record for most runs scored by a team in consecutive games. The Rangers missed out on that. They needed to follow up their 30 with a 23. If you want to go back to 1876, modern day record, the Red Sox in 1950. 29-20 for them. That's pretty good too. Jason Botsu was a part of the carnage yesterday. The Rangers leading on a Brad Wilkerson home run tonight, 2-1. Again, the 1-run differential tag, not at all a surprise. Every game the Rangers and Mariners have played here at the ballpark this year has been decided by 1 run.
Yeah, the Rangers have held their own in those 1-run games too.
Weaver getting mad after the home run by Wilkerson. He's thrown 6 pitches since then. They've all been strikes. Struck out Young to end the 3rd. Strikes out Botts to begin the 4th. That was a net result of a Wilkerson homer off him last year, back when Jeff Weaver was with the Angels. I know this was a while ago, Tom, and kind of a random memory at this point now, but Wilkerson hit a home run off Jeff Weaver. Weaver stomped around the mound like someone who had just noticed his expensive car had gotten keyed. And he retired the next 12 batters in that game. And then after the game had these comments about how it was a wake-up call. And sure enough, like the next 5 games, he was very good. Then he regressed.
Well, just needed another incident to get back on track. I want to thank the cookie lady for a great batch of cookies. She says in her little note, "I've always known how great the Rangers are, and they proved it last night." She and her husband Cal went to the Cats game last night. Saw Chuck Morgan there. Chuck's son Kelly plays on the Cats. Kelly Gullidge had a home run in the game last night. Kelly's doing a great job for the Cats over there. Shirley's cookies didn't last too long. We were supposed to send some down to the radio guys, but
oops,
never quite got that far. Sorry.
Nelson Cruz into center field. Ichiro slides and makes the catch, as we were just talking about.
I think Ichiro from the time he started running on that ball, just kind of choreographed that play to where he could come in, slide, and catch it. Because if he really went as hard as he could, I think he could have caught it without sliding like this. I think he almost likes to entertain himself the way he plays in the outfield. I was just thinking that. Just nice, smooth little play. Tap the ground a little bit. Get up, flip it in. I wish he would catch a couple behind his back like he does in practice. He can't do that in the game. He just couldn't risk missing one of those. But
I wish he'd catch one in his hat.
But that play that he just made is a relatively routine play for him compared to some of the things he can do out there.
Oh, from the sublime beauty of the play of Ichiro to the weirdness of Jeff Weaver's motion right there.
But he's probably not an easy guy to hit against. He's tall, he's lanky.
Oh, Saltalamacchia, how's he looking? Home run!
He's kind of hard to hit for most guys. Not too hard for Saltalamacchia right there. He does have arms and legs. He's tall and everything's moving and flying around out there. It can be tough to pick up the ball, but the tip part is salty right there. Another 2-out run. Well, I won't call it a rally, but a 2-out run. Got the first 2 outs of the third, double home run. First 2 outs of the fourth, home run. 5 home runs for Saltalamacchia in 7 days.
Now Murphy with a ground ball to Betancourt, who's also got arms and legs.
Yeah, he does.
A face.
Matter of fact.
A hat. Saltalamacchia's got a home run, though. The only guy in the inning that can say that. 3-1, Texas. First 7,000 kids, 13 and under, get that back-to-school backpack. Boy, kids love hearing that phrase, back to school. That's compliments of Dr. Pepper. 972 Rangers, the number to call. Hi, guys. Have fun back in school.
Brad Sheldon's children.
Mm-hmm. A fine-looking group.
And there's Brad Sheldon.
Hey, imagine that.
They don't want any part of Brad. They're sitting as far away from him as they can.
Dads are usually cast as colossal buffoons.
And you can tell 2 great-looking kids like that must take after their mother. Sorry, Brad. Sorry, Brad. Sorry, Brad, but you know that's just the reality of it.
Genji Joshima takes down an outside. Rangers on top 3-1. Yesterday, 39 runs crossed the plate. Jojima cranking this one foul. Some other scores from around baseball tonight. Nobody's putting up a 30 spot tonight, but Oakland's got 12 on the board at Tampa Bay. A's over the Rays 12-2. That's in the 8th inning. In there for a strike, 1-2. Jack Cust another home run in that game for the Oakland Athletics. Cam Lowe hasn't had a lot of deep counts. This passes for fairly close to a deep count here, 2-2. And that's where it ends. On the outside corner, Jojima just drops the bat.
Ooh, that's kind of pretty close right there.
A little passive aggressive, don't you think?
Yeah, that's pretty close. I guarantee you Mike DeMuro thought about it.
Interesting. We go to Jim Knox.
All right, thank you very much, Josh. A special guest, Al Lamacchia, a longtime scout, been in Major League Baseball for 8 decades, and a scout for 52 years on hand tonight. Let's first off, Al, who are some of the guys you scouted and brought into the big leagues? Can you name a couple names?
Yes, I was responsible for Dale Murphy, Dave Steeb, Cito Gaston, who later managed the our ball club up at Toronto, and the Mailer brothers, Bruce Benedict, the catcher,
And the list goes on and on. But you also have collected a lot of memorabilia along the way. And tonight you want to present some of that to a nice young man to the next to me, right?
That's right. Austin Pritchard, he wants to say a few things. See, he's a tremendous fan of the Texas Rangers. He comes here very often, and he's got his favorite players, and he'll tell you who they are.
Favorite players?
I like Michael Young, and I like Saltalamacchia.
Saltalamacchia, very nice. All right. And what do you have, Al?
I got it here. I'm going to get this to Austin. This is all for Austin. Austin, I'm going to give you this. There's a lot of stuff in there. There's one from Biggio, Craig Biggio, Jeff Kent, Lance Berkman, and then this Los Angeles Dodgers, they signed a baseball cap for you, so it's all yours.
Very nice. And real quick, Al, why did you take such a liking to this young man, Austin?
Well, I was sitting behind him and kind of teasing him one night, and then I realized how he was, and I just fell in love almost like he was my grandson. And he's such a polite, nice kid. I just couldn't help taking to him.
And Austin suffered a stroke when he was little?
I think, was it when he was born, Mrs. Pritchard? When did he have the stroke, when he was born?
Before he was born, in utero. So it's been a long journey for us, but he's made tremendous strides, and he's got a lot of potential. So.
He's working with Steve Busby. Is that correct, Austin?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, very good. You look great, and keep up the good work. Everybody's proud of you. Enjoy the memorabilia from Al, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. Josh?
Great. Thanks, Al. Thanks, Austin. Welcome, everybody.
Alamakia, if you mention Alamakia's name to any baseball person in the country, they'll know exactly who he is. He's a legend. I remember going, well, I've got 2 outs, but I'm going to start the story. I remember going to a game out in San Diego. Eddie Williams, who ended up being a #1 draft choice for the Mets, was a high school player in San Diego. And we went out to California to watch him play, and Alamakia was there. And it turned out Eddie Williams was going to pitch this day. He was going to be drafted as a third baseman, but he was going to pitch that day. And Lamakia went up to the coach before the game, right before he was scheduled to go down and warm up, and said, "Coach, I just flew 2,000 miles to see the boy play. Could you have him take infield practice at third base for me?" And the coach said, "Hell, he's pitching today. I don't want him to go out and take infield practice." So Lamakia talked him into taking infield practice. The first throw to third base from the center fielder took a short hop and hit him right in the waist area, and down he went, lying flat on his back right before he's supposed to go to warm up, and the coach is screaming at Lamakia, "I told you I didn't want him to take infield practice." Oh boy.
Ichiro, and Cam Lowe's got to field it and fire in a motion right there, and it's not in time to get the speedy Ichiro Suzuki, who leads the American League in infield hits. There's another to keep the inning going.
That's number 43. 43 infield hits with 6 weeks to go in the season. It's not easy for Cam when you're 6'9" like Cam is, or 6'8", to pounce on a ball like that, like Kenny Rogers might. But he gets to this ball and barehands it. That's as quickly as he can possibly get it to first base, and it's still not in time to get Ichiro. And that's just the wrong guy to hit that little ball. Cam did a nice job of fielding it. Unfortunately, it was Ichiro running. Al Lamakia for many, many years was one of Pat Gillick's most trusted advisors with the Toronto Blue Jays. Very, very integral in the championship teams that Toronto had up there. And what a nice thing for him to do, to take a liking to such a nice young man and bring all those nice things for him. Very nice.
Check your Ford leaderboard right here, Tag, talking about Ichiro, who's now got a couple of hits tonight. Multi-hit game since 2001. It's a runaway. Al Lamakia before the game was talking with Eric Nadel about his days with the St. Louis Browns and having played with Pete Gray, the one-armed outfielder.
That was a hat he had on too, didn't he?
Yeah, he had the St. Louis Browns hat on.
There's Eric.
And that would be Eric Nadel and his lamp.
And Eric, as usual, is saying, "Why in the world are they showing me?"
Another chance for Cam Lowe. A little slower runner this time.
Different runner.
Yeah. Well, the comebackers Two of them in a row. One going for a hit. The other simply a 1-3 to get us through now to the bottom of the 5th inning. Rangers up 3-1. Dealers and by Aflac Insurance. Travis Metcalf against Jeff Weaver. Weaver's allowed a couple of home runs. That happened to him in his last start, too. Wilkerson and Saltalamacchia both finding the right field bleachers. Actually, Wilkerson found the Starbucks sign up above the bleachers. Any hoots, 3-1 Texas in the bottom of the 5th inning. The Rangers swept the Baltimore Orioles yesterday. Busted bat and a one-hopper that skids right by.
He's running away from that ball.
A vacating the premises Yuniesky Betancourt.
That ball was hit a little slower. He would have ended up out in left field. The ball just ate him up. He wasn't sure how to play it. I think he thought it was hit a little bit harder. But Travis hit that ball off the end of the bat. I think he wanted to take one step back and backhand it. The problem was it didn't quite get there. He's back to backhand and just kind of ate him up. I thought that's what happened. Watching it again, I'm not sure what he did. I think he just misjudged the bounce.
Maybe he just wanted to kind of run alongside of the ball.
He just wanted Travis to get a base hit.
Was he distracted by the bat?
Oh, it's possible. You know, off the bat, he might. You know, he saw the bat come apart like that and come in his direction. Then he had to look at the ball. He might have not known exactly where the bat was. So I think that's possible. Maybe he did shy away from the bat, even though it didn't end up anywhere near him. He wasn't sure where it was going to be.
Ramon Vasquez, who had that huge game 1 in the doubleheader yesterday, still not getting a lot of respect nationally. I was reading one of the dispatches from Boston. The Boston Globe wrote a story about the 30-3 game. And, you know, Vasquez certainly earned his way into that story with 2 homers, 7 runs batted in. And they called him Javier Vasquez. Poor Ramon actually used to be a Boston Red Sox, too. I'll tell you, I don't get no respect.
Well, he got the 2 home runs and knocked in 7. That's all he cared about.
I don't know about you. I miss Rodney Dangerfield, boy.
Yeah, me too. I miss Rodney Dangerfield. I miss John Candy.
Yes.
Belushi.
No, it's still Jim Belushi.
Yeah.
Not quite the same. All right, anyway, 1-1 to Ramon Vasquez. They're pitching out, and a throw back to first base, not in time. Say my name. It's Ramon Vasquez. 1 3-run home run. He would add another. And again, he just missed a third that he could have sandwiched in between those two. He got out in front of a changeup. Someone about 10 feet foul. 3 3-run homers from the number 9 hitter. That would have been a cool story. Popping that one towards center. It's shallow. That is out number 1.
I'll say hi to my friend Bill Harvey. I'm going to circle him too. Bill used to be one of the Ranger owners. Bill's here tonight with some of his friends. Byron Cook is a state legislator from Corsicana. John Rowe, a friend of his from San Diego. Bill, back when Brad Corbett was the owner, was one of Brad's partners in the Rangers. And he's kept those seats right behind the dugout ever since the team first moved here in 1972. Great Ranger fan and great man from Fort Worth.
Frank Catalanato taking down too low against his former Detroit teammate Jeff Weaver. Corona takes time out. Telling you about Frank Catalanato. Mr. August.
I wouldn't mind being called Mr. any month of the season. I guess the one thing you don't want to be called is Mr. March. Though.
Right, big spring training.
That doesn't get you too much.
And we're talking about performing well on the baseball field, right? Not like being in some magazine.
Like Mr. Mom or something like that.
Well, or just like, because there's like Miss September. Cat is Mr. August.
Well, that wouldn't be that bad. But I'd rather.
No, your exploits are
known for my baseball prowess.
No, I understand. Well, you could have it both ways. Phil Garner once posed for one of those magazines.
He did?
Yeah. In a bathing suit. I mean, not, It's like
like for one of the steel mills, the scrap iron?
I never saw the picture. No, really, I never did.
I'm going to hope you didn't have that poster
no,
on the back of your bedroom
I did not, sir. Thanks for asking, though. Nor did I have that picture of Burt Reynolds.
Men at work?
No. Catalanato, almost thankfully hitting one on the ground here. Got him there. And the Mariners turn that double play to get Weaver out of the inning. All right, we're going to regroup here. Come back in the 6th inning, where it will still be 3-1. Tomorrow brought to you by Panda Express and their delicious orange chicken. Felix Hernandez, one of the great young arms in the American League, will be up against Kevin Millwood. Kevin's coming off a couple of pretty good outings. There's a 7:35 first pitch tomorrow. And if you can't make it to the ballpark, you will see it right here on FSN Southwest. 3-4-5 in the Seattle order here in the top of the 6th inning. And the Mariners out on the road here, having just played in Minnesota. Trying to chase down those Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. That ball hangs, and that ball is going to be driven deep. Jose Guillen gone.
Well, that's the definition of a hanging curveball that's launched for a home run. When Cam is throwing that curveball the way he wants to, it's a sharp breaking pitch that's down around the knees or a little bit lower. But that one just spun up there a little bit above the waist, and Guillen's been a hot hitter too. It doesn't go down, it doesn't go away, it's inside part of the plate, and he could wind up and swing at that almost like a slow pitch softball swing. He launched it high and far.
And now Ibanez, very next swing, drives it deep. Murphy on the run over the shoulder. Oh, Willie Mays Murphy out there, one down.
Well, David does something nice every ball game, at least one thing, but hitting the ball great. He's played all the outfield positions, getting a chance to play center field today. Gets a good jump on that ball, uses his speed to outrun it. Nice play. As a pitcher, when you throw that hanger, you know it's going to be a hanger the minute it slips out of your hand, and you're just hoping that it's too high and the batter takes it.
Fouls it back or something?
Fouls it back or pops it up, just misses it. But it's kind of a sick feeling. You know you're vulnerable, especially to a guy with some power.
Flailing at it, Vasquez could not stop it. And there's Beltre with his second hit. That'll bring up Richie Sexton, the guy that Lowe continues to dominate. You got to make sure that you're getting the ball down, though, to Richie Sexton.
Let's check this pitch out. That was kind of a high sinker. You see number 2 there, a high part of the strike zone, without the kind of movement that is on most of Cam's pitches. That one just stayed up. And the Mariners this inning have taken advantage of a couple of good pitches to hit and haven't missed them. But it's the middle of the lineup, and that's usually where your better hitters are too. Less likely to miss pitches. Gosh, we get a lot of things sent up to the booth, usually in the form of food and sweets, but had a nice CD sent up to us by a man named John Castleman.
from Lubbock, Texas.
Lubbock, Texas sent us up a Cowboy Up CD. Theme centered on the American Cattle Drive. 10 original songs. John, thanks for that. Haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but might pop it in the car on the way home and listen to it.
It gives us a chance to reference Lubbock too,
yeah,
with the Little League team doing so well.
Yeah, they won today.
Well, they're getting some pitching, huh?
Man.
Runner goes from first. 6 and a wave and a miss. Throw down by Saltalamacchia bounces.
Big jump for Beltre.
Yeah, that's his 10th steal of the year. You don't really think of him as a base stealer, but he can actually do that okay. That's 10. He's had seasons in the minors anyway of 25 and 20.
Had a big lead and a good jump. Saltalamacchia didn't really have a shot at him. Yeah, I wish I could remember that kid's name from Lubbock today. It might have been Williams. Anyway, tall, lanky, left-handed pitcher. It might be one of the best Little League pitchers that you'll ever see.
Off the glove of Metcalf, and no play for anybody.
That's an unlikely error right there for Travis. Might have taken a little hop, might have had some spin on it. Going to give him a base hit on it. Pretty hard hit ball, but the short hop like that is usually a play that you would expect Travis to make. But just by the fact that it was labeled a hit tells you it wasn't an easy chance. No, not as easy as I thought. That ball bounced out in front of him a little bit. It's kind of hard to gauge that hop, how high it's going to bounce. That one looked like it stayed down on Travis a little bit. One of those balls, you don't have time to charge it. You don't have time to step back. You just try to gauge where the hop was going to be. And that was a tough one to gauge right there. That's a hit all the way.
Oh, a 2 on now. A quick reminder about joining the Rangers on that 4-night Carnival cruise in November. Join Jim Sunbury, Mark McLemore, Pete O'Brien, other Rangers alums. They'll all be on board. Compliments of Health Markets. Cruise on down to Mexico with the Rangers in November. Visit TexasRangers.com for more info. Here's Sonny has promised to water ski.
I'd like to see that. Sonny's an athlete. I'm sure that's no problem for him.
But he also says he's going to do it in his room.
Ah, in the bathtub?
Yep, he's just going to let the bathtub run, and he's going to water ski right there. Jojima, who struck out and did not like it last time. In fact, he laid down his bat in silent Gandhi-esque protest. Something the home plate umpire Mike DeMuro probably didn't like. We're going to change that last play, Tom. Now they are going to score at an error.
Okay. It was a tough play, but I wouldn't argue either way. That's why I wouldn't want to be an official scorekeeper. So many of those plays, it's just a matter of how you see it.
That one runs inside. I'll take you back to that last at bat. Talking about Jojima.
Well, if that was strike 3, Jojima had a pretty good argument. It wasn't really in the vicinity of the outside corner. A little bit outside. You'd have to think that a catcher would know the strike zone pretty good when he's up there. As many pitches as he gets to see in the course of the game. I'll let that one hit him.
Yeah, that one hit him, and now Cam Lowe is in some serious trouble. You got the bases loaded. And Ranger killer Jose Lopez coming up. I think you said it correctly, Tom. You just kind of let that ball come in and get him.
You can't lean into it and try to get hit, but you don't have to get out of the way. You can stand your ground. It looked like what he did. When you've got one of those pads on your elbow, it's pretty easy to do that. It's a little tougher to take one off your elbow if you don't have that pad.
Boy, you can see it right there. You can just see the elbow pad absorb it. Well, one of those ground balls that Cam Lowe is famous for would be pretty good right now. One hopper right at somebody, please. First to strike to Lopez.
You're talking about the Lubbock kids out in the Little League World Series. That young lefty that pitched for him today was throwing the ball about as hard as you could ever imagine a Little Leaguer throwing. The last pitch he threw was 77 miles an hour. And they calculated the equivalent major league pitch from a further distance, the reaction time being the same, would have been a 100-mile-an-hour pitch. And no one in the Little League World Series so far has really been able to touch him. They've got a couple other really good pitchers on their team, too. I think they're playing for the U.S. Championship in their next game. They're rooting for the Texas team to bring it home.
High pop-up foul. Well, Seattle actually out hitting the Rangers 8-5. You see Lopez not doing real well in the second half. Seattle led 1-0. The Rangers came back with 2 in the third thanks to Brad Wilkerson's homer. Got a homer from Saltalamacchia in the fourth, but now a run in here in the top of the sixth. Little flare in the right field. Base hit. Cruz fires to second base and almost got him on a force.
Close.
That little deke out there that forced Jojima into a holding pattern. Well, the bases are still loaded. It's now 3-3.
That's a nice job by Lopez. He had 2 strikes and just reached out to an outside sinker. And a little soft line drive to right field. Cruz charged it, couldn't quite get to it, but almost got the force out at second base. Pretty tough pitch to hit. Takes kind of a half a swing at it. Just slaps it out there for an RBI.
That ball popped up. Saltalamacchia racing back to make the catch. He was coming full throttle right there.
That's a big out. Bases loaded, 1 out. You can keep it at 3-3. Done a good job. Problem is, nowhere to put Ichiro right now.
On Ichiro, with the bases loaded, you'd probably expect he's got good numbers. He's 7 for 12. In fact, this entire Mariner team is a collective Pat Tabler with the bases loaded. Ibanez is 8 for 16. Lopez 5 for 8. Ichiro 7 for 12. Now the pitch count for Cam now in the mid-90s. I'd like to see Cam wiggle out of this. And then maybe it's Mike Wood in the 7th inning if you need to. No place to put Ichiro, and he's fallen behind one of the best in the business with runners in scoring position, 2-0. Well, this big battery of Lowe, as you said, Tom, about 6'8". Saltalamacchia 6'5". Trying to find a way to get the smaller Ichiro Suzuki. Fast one for a strike, 2-1. Ichiro hasn't homered since June the 4th. That batting average still in the 350 range. He and Mags Ordonez will go down to the wire, it looks like, for a batting title. Now it's 2-2.
That sweat's just dripping off the brim of his hat.
A 2-2 two-out pitch. Oh, he just barely got a piece. Oh, Ichiro is such a man of routine. The way he will get ready up there. Smoothing out that jersey. Waving the bat. And then this thing, the little archer's stance. Now he's ready. And now he's blasting into center field. Murphy hightails it towards the track. It's over his head. That will clear the bases. That's the wrong guy to have up with the bases loaded. Ichiro's third hit of the game. It's a bases clearing double. And just like that, Seattle leads it 6-3.
That was one of the perils of facing a lot of batters in that inning. Hitting Jojima is that you just pushed the batting order around to Ichiro right at the worst time. He got an out for the second out, but unfortunately Ichiro worked the count, got a pitch to hit, and drove it over David's head to center field.
It landed shy of the track, but Murphy playing in and couldn't race back there in time. So Cam kind of hitting the wall here in the sixth. Mike Wood comes on. We'll come back in just a moment. 6-3 Seattle. If the Rangers may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Texas Rangers Baseball Club. Jose Vidro jumps on the first offering from Mike Wood, and there it goes towards right field. It's going to go. Mike Wood throws one pitch, and 2 runs come in. Well, the Rangers, who were all about the big inning yesterday in Baltimore, they're having one put up on them right now. 7 runs in the 6th inning.
Boy, Cam was 1 out away from getting out of this inning, too. Unfortunately, he had to face Ichiro and Vidro. That's only his 5th home run of the year. He jumped on the first pitch he saw, which was a high fastball without much movement on it. Pretty straight.
One of those 2 runs charged against Cam. I've seen 2 homers and a bases loaded double in this inning. And Metcalf makes quite a play at the line. He'll fire wide, trying to make up for the error that he was almost charged with and then not charged with, and then what they finally decide on that? Charged with, right?
They did give him an error on that play, yeah.
So there will be some unearned runs in this inning.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that was some kind of try right there. That's going to be the 2nd hit of this 6th inning for Jose Guillen. Now Raul Ibanez now batting for the 2nd time in the inning. Wow, the day after the Rangers put up a 5, a 6, a 9, and a 10 as that ball gets away. One of the missing numbers in the straight shows up a day later for the opposition, the 7. Here's some numbers for Mike Wood.
.394 is the earned run average. Mike has shown a good knack for changing speeds. Got a lot of good off-speed pitches, not a hard thrower, but he gets a lot of movement on his ball when he keeps it down, and changes speeds, can keep the hitters off balance pretty well. There's a good example of it.
Over to first, and Wilkerson will run to the bag and finally draw the curtain shut on a miserable top of the 6th. 7 runs in. Well, the Rangers, though, they scored more than 8 twice yesterday. They'll have to do it again tonight. 100 yesterday, by the way. Also included here, 2 tickets to a Ranger game. Dinner for 2 at Sonic. Good luck to G.W. Boyers of Irving. If a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, we will again, courtesy of Sonic, give away $25,000. It was among the fun things yesterday, the writing of the $25,000 check. Haven't heard anything yet about the nice lady who was the recipient of $25,700, but assuming somebody found her, she's having a better day today than yesterday.
Hope she gets a chance to come out to the park and meet Marlon Byrd.
Wilkerson trying to start the Rangers back into this thing, does so with a base hit. And Wilkerson, again, a surprise starter tonight, 3 for 3. Michael Young comes to the plate. Now, Michael, the number 3 hitter in the lineup, you'd figure if the Rangers score 30 runs in a game, certainly the number 3 hitter's got to have 1 run batted in, right?
Yes,
nope.
You would think that.
It did not happen. Number 8 hitter had 7. Number 9 hitter had 7.
I'm guessing if Michael stayed in the game, he would have gotten 1, though.
Well, Metcalf was hitting into his spot, right? So that could have been his grand slam.
Could have been.
Michael did have 5 hits, though, in the doubleheader yesterday. So he's now got 154 for the year, leaving him 46 away from another 200-hit season. And there are 35 games to go. Well, here's Weaver getting up to 70 pitches now, and only 17 of the 70 have been balls. Young has already hit into a double play. He is going to do it again.
Nice job by Lopez turning that play. It wasn't that hard hit ball that you like to have to turn a double play, but he really fired the ball to Betancourt. Betancourt came across the base and turned it. Watch how hard he throws this ball. Gives Betancourt a chance to get out of the way. Wilkerson doing everything he could to try to break up that double play. Lopez got it there hard in time so he could get out of the way and turn it.
That's clipped foul by Botts. Well, Seattle, another game with 10 or more hits. They've got a dozen already. Again, the Rangers had led 3-1, but a 7-run top of the 6th inning. $7:35 game tomorrow. Again, the back-to-school backpack giveaway tomorrow. First 7,000 kids, 13 and under. Kind of get your last shots in before school starts again. Come out and enjoy a ball game. Homestand continues next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday against Chicago. Whoa, outside. Weaver's always so demonstrative out there. We've seen plenty of his brother Jared with the Angels. That's another kind of interesting sidelight to the Angels and Mariners having at it. Top two teams in the West, brothers pitching against each other. A base hit for Botts. He had struck out the first couple times, now a single. So we mentioned the Angels right now 2 games up on Seattle. The Angels are idle. No, they're not. They're playing tonight. They've got the late game against Toronto. 2-0. They're on top in the first inning. Cleveland broke open a 0-0 ball game in the 10th inning today, Tom, at Detroit's got 3 in the 10th off Joel Zumaya. And the Indians beat the Tigers 3-1 at Comerica.
And Jake Westbrook, I think, started that game for Cleveland. He's been pitching really well. Another guy that got off to a little bit of a slow start statistically. The Rangers saw him in their trip into Cleveland. He pitched really well against them that day, and he's been pitching well almost every start since then.
There's that slider, missing, and no swing. Oakland beat Tampa Bay 12-2. Minnesota over Baltimore 5-2. That's certainly better than 30-3. Miguel Tejada, another home run, though. That's chopped foul by Cruz. Over in the National League, the Braves and the Reds are tied 7-up in the 11th. Another home run for Mark Teixeira.
Wow.
He's up to 23. He's almost got as many now with the Braves as he had with the Rangers. Josh Hamilton has gone deep for Cincinnati.
It could be one of those trades that both teams are thrilled with the way it turned out. Pretty important for the Braves to win, though, because there's a good chance, no matter how much Tex likes it in Atlanta, that he will at least test the free agent waters. Maybe not, but sure looks that way. And if the Braves don't win while he's there and then lose him to free agency, the Rangers will be sitting on all the prospects, and Braves won't have much to show for it.
Weaver strikes out Nelson Cruz. And again, just a lot of strikes being thrown by Jeff Weaver tonight. We are at the end of 6 here at the ballpark. It is 8-3 Seattle. Texas Ranger Baseball brought to you by Southwest Airlines and by Corona. Back at the ballpark after a 6-game road trip, Mike Wood took over for Cam Lowe and immediately was greeted by a Jose Vidro home run. Now hopefully things have settled down. It'll be Adrian Beltre leading things off, top 7. It was a 7-run top of the 6th for Seattle. That is why they were leading 8-3. Three runs were earned, we were told. An error that was charged to Travis Metcalf then ended up being kind of a big play that was not made by the Rangers. Couple scores we didn't get to tag. The Padres have rallied past the Mets at Shea 9-8. Former Ranger Adrian Gonzalez with a home run late. Washington leading at Houston 7-4 in the 8th inning. The Astros and the Rangers a chance to have identical records. Florida's taken it to St. Louis tonight 8-1. Dodgers have beaten the Phillies 5-2. Both those teams with 66 wins now. Colorado's holding at 64 wins. Pirates beat them 5-1. And at 65 wins for the Cubs in a holding pattern. The Giants beat them 4-1 today. We were talking about the AL wild card situation earlier, Tom. The National League wild card, that is pretty much an anything goes.
And the last week of the season in the National League could be incredible. There'll be so many combinations. The experts on all the talk shows aren't going to be able to figure it out.
Milwaukee and San Diego finish with each other in Milwaukee. That has the potential of being a pretty good barometer of what happens. I think the Phillies and the Braves play in the final week. Right now, the Padres, Phillies, Braves, Dodgers, Brewers, Rockies, and Cardinals all within 3 in the loss column of each other for that wild card. Metcalf this time is going to take care of Beltre.
The Rangers could have a say in the American League West. They play Seattle the last 3 games of the year. Prior to that, Seattle has 3 against the Indians and 4 against the Angels. So it'll be some exciting baseball the last week of the season. I wonder how John McLaren's rotator cuff injury is.
Yeah.
Remember how much pain he was in when we were last looking at him on the bench.
That was a real good news, bad news for him. I mean, the good news, he's always wanted to be a big league manager. And yes, he got the gig. Bad news is he had just had the rotator cuff surgery.
He said he might not have had the rotator cuff surgery if he knew he was going to get the job, but that caught everybody by surprise, Mike's decision.
McLaren's a Houston native. Went to Blinn Junior College and the Houston Baptist. Another wave and a miss by Sexton. 2-2. McLaren also a one-time Astros prospect, though he topped out at AAA ball. 3-2. One game postponed in the major leagues. Boston at the Chicago White Sox. So don't be waiting on a score on that one. Three-two delivery, and down goes Sexton again. Third time he has struck out. Coming up in just a bit, our Toyota truck game break from here at the ballpark. Mike Wood having taken over for Cam Lowe. Cam went 5 2/3. Really, the first 5 1/3, Tom, were very good.
Yeah, Cam, really didn't throw the ball that bad in the 6th inning. He did make a couple of mistakes, though. He made a mistake to Guillen, who launched the home run. Got a ball up that Vidro hit. Or no, that was Mike that got the ball up to Vidro that he hit for a home run. But the error was a costly error because it led to 4 unearned runs.
Missing into Jojima. And Jojima going to drop one into left field. So, we had talked about it, Tom. Seattle getting enough pitching. Certainly their bullpen has been solid, but boy, as their hitters just collectively are starting to come on, they sure look like a team that is not exactly going to fade as we get into September.
No, I don't think so either, because they play good, solid defense. And when you looked at their team over the last couple of years when they weren't scoring a lot of runs, it was kind of hard to see how they weren't scoring runs, because if the players they had were just performing the way they were capable, you would think the offense would be able to generate a lot of runs. And maybe that's just about what's happening now. Sexton has started to hit a little bit better. Beltre's getting hot. Guillen's hot. Vidro, Ichiro. Got a lot of pretty good hitters in their lineup.
Saltalamacchia back, makes another catch. And that will get the Rangers and the Mariners to the 7th inning stretch. And we'll send it to our studio for the Toyota truck game break. An 8-3 lead, and they're going to change pitchers right now. Jeff Weaver, 6 solid. And now the 7-0 Eric O'Flaherty, the Walla Walla, Washington native.
It's a lot of decisions for a reliever, and especially to go 7-0. But he's pitching well this year. He's only given up 1 home run in 41 innings. Opponents are hitting in the low 229 against him.
He's only 22 years old.
Got a good arm. And they've got a good bullpen. One of the few bullpens you'll see with 4 left-handers and 3 right-handers.
Yeah, meantime, the Angels, ahead of them, they've had 1 lefty in the bullpen pretty much all year.
Yeah, they've had times in the past where they didn't have anybody.
0-2 to Saltalamacchia. Up to 9 home runs now is Salty. 5 of them is a Ranger. 4 during his time with the Braves. And remember, he didn't get to the Atlanta Braves until his 22nd birthday himself, May the 2nd of this year. Now you can see why O'Flaherty has got the numbers you were talking about, Tom. That's some nasty stuff right there.
Shut it down and in a couple of times to Jared. Hard slider. That's a good one, too. Another good start for Jeff Weaver. We talked about him earlier in the game, that don't judge him by the overall statistics. April and May are long gone. Trip to the disabled list, and since he's come back from the disabled list, he's been pitching some solid baseball. It's his 4th straight start where he's going to pick up a victory. Another quality start in those 4 starts. His ERA is a little bit under 3. And as we said earlier, he's pitching for quite a while now, about 90 innings anyway. He's had on the season about 115 innings, so most of his innings have been the quality that they were looking for when they signed him as a free agent. You can forget about April and May.
David Murphy swings there. A couple of emailers over the last couple of days want a little bit more background on David Murphy, and just a reminder about from whence he came.
Okay.
The Boston Red Sox first-round pick just a few years ago out of Baylor. And O'Flaherty dispatching of him right here. And Murphy, certainly not the headline guy, I guess, Tom, in that Eric Gagne deal. But we're already seeing why the Rangers appreciate his being in that deal. Not necessarily on that swing right there, but he's a 500 hitter as a Ranger so far.
Yeah, he's done everything well for the Rangers. He's played the outfield well. He's thrown well. He's shown good speed. Beat out a couple of infield hits in the big game yesterday. And he's hit the ball hard, too. Lined some doubles in the gap. The early impression can only be very favorable from what the Rangers have seen from David.
Boy, O'Flaherty striking out Saltalamacchia, striking out Murphy, quickly getting ahead of Metcalf 0-2. Nobody we're talking about in this inning is more than, what, 25 years old. However, the guy that just turned 31 yesterday, Jeff Weaver, he's the guy that did the best pitching overall tonight. Quality start, 6 innings, 3 runs, couple of home runs allowed. But tag only 1 walk. Former Tiger, former Angel, former Cardinal. O'Flaherty missing in here. Two-two pitch is low. Rangers have gone in multiples of 3s the last few games. 30 runs, then 9, now 3. And a grounder to short for Betancourt. Now 2 strikeouts and a ground out for O'Flaherty. And that Seattle bullpen, you're seeing it right now, but they have been very good here in 2007. 8-3 at the end of 7. 08 season tickets. Go to DependableFan.com. Tell us why you deserve to be Chevy's most dependable fan. Crowd of close to 27,000 here tonight to welcome home a team that just put 39 runs on the board yesterday. 30 in game 1 to set a major league record, 9 in game 2. Tonight, though, the big guns have been the Mariners. They've got an 8-3 lead in the 8th. And you had to think, just at least in some way, Tom, I mean, there'd be a little bit of a dreaded hangover effect in some way today. The Rangers were not expected to score 30 or 9 necessarily. That ball popped up. But Wood getting a lot of those. And it's Wilkerson coming over to make the catch.
Yeah, I think what generally determines the tone of the game is the pitching, both for and against the team. And Weaver pitched a nice ball game tonight. And there probably was a little bit of a hangover effect, if not from the games, then definitely from the trip home. I don't think it's easy for anybody to play a doubleheader like that, 7 hours of baseball. And a lot of the guys playing tonight plays in those doubleheader games. And to fly back and basically get to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning, and for the players try to sleep most of the day, wake up and come out to the ballpark. That's not easy, but that's Major League Baseball, and we won't get any sympathy from Seattle. They put up with that all season long with the travel that they have, so we're not going to use that as an excuse for sure.
How about the way their season started? They go out on the road and they get snowed out for 4 games in Cleveland. Ichiro's at the plate. Our energy to take you anywhere, brought to you by Valero. That was the big hit of the ball game. And now back live, Ichiro taking, and down he goes. A called 3rd strike. So he is mortal. Following 3 straight hits, Mike Wood strikes him out. Here it was.
And that was a strike, too. Ichiro didn't like the call, but our tracker shows it was a strike right on the corner. Take those pitches that tailed back in.
Ichiro hitting .351. Here's Vidro right behind him hitting .320. And now a little lower than that as he bounces out. Bottom of the 8th coming up. And the Rangers need to hurry up and get hitting. They're trailing by 5. Saturday and Sunday are night games as well. Rangers trailing tonight 8-3. They've got Ramon Vasquez at the plate. Ramon having just celebrated a birthday. We missed that. Sorry about that, Ramon. That was Tuesday, as the Rangers were losing to Eric Bedard and the Orioles. But a day after turning 31, Ramon Vasquez had the game of his life. 2 homers and 7 runs batted in. And today, a day after turning 31, Jeff Weaver, not having the game of his life, but had a good enough game that he's in position to win.
No, he added a nice streak to what he's got going right now, though. Last 4 starts, he's 4-0 with an ERA under 3. And the Mariners are in the pennant race, so they appreciate the effort that Weaver's making for them, that's for sure. That's what they need coming down the stretch. They've got tough competition. The Angels are going to be tough to beat. The Yankees are going to be tough to beat in the wild card race. They don't have a lot of margin for error.
And Vasquez, originally drafted by the Mariners, finally got to the big leagues after 6 years in the minors with them in their fabulous 2001 season. That's the year they won those 116 games. Ichiro had just come over from Japan. That's a pretty good time to break in around all that.
Yep. Ichiro on his way to his 7th straight 200-hit season.
Wow.
Saw the note. Willie Keeler and Wade Boggs, I believe, are the only ones that have 6 straight along with Ichiro. I don't know if Keeler and Boggs had 7 straight or not. Ichiro's on his way to it, though. At about 185 or 86 hits right now.
I mentioned Ichiro earlier, and a guy that, I mean, just look at the glove. You know, it just tells you that he's a little different breed of cat. With the loose strings on it, it's a huge glove. Vasquez has to hop out of the way, and did he get hit, or was that actually ball 4?
I don't know. It would have been ball 4 if it didn't hit him, but I'm not sure how to score it. I don't think it hit him.
On base either way. And Catalanato coming up. Let's see.
I think it missed him. We'll give him a walk.
Last time Vasquez batted in the bottom of the 8th against Seattle, he was hitting the game-winning home run off J.J. Putz. It was one of very few mistakes that J.J. Putz has made all year. What a job their closer's done. In there to Catalanato. Catalanato sending one towards Ichiro. That's one that he'll catch in his cap one day. One of those that just kind of hangs there, and if he's bored, find a different way to go at it. Brad Wilkerson coming up next. Our Coors Light Cold Blast. Coors Light tastes the cold. We talk beer, and he goes for coffee off the Starbucks sign. Home runs for Wilkerson now. Brad, whose career high is 32. The last year of the Montreal Expos before they moved to Washington. It was kind of an odd year for Brad, though. He had 32 homers, 39 doubles, even a couple of triples. But he only had 67 runs batted in. 70.
Was he leading off that year?
For most of the year, yeah. He's going to put this one in the right field, and the guy that wasn't even supposed to play tonight is 4 for 4. That's off a tough lefty. Sean Green's been warming in the bullpen. And with the righties coming up, I think they're ready to make a move.
There's the sign, John McLaren.
Wilkerson, a 4 for 4 evening. And we'll see if the Rangers can put up a rally when we come back.
When my son was born, we're playing the Indians, and my wife was going into labor during batting practice, so I was going to leave, and then the doctor called and said nothing's going to happen before midnight. And it was our first kill. I was like, oh man, I was out of it.
That was right around this time of year in 2004. Hank Blaylock brought to you by Dodge, your Texas truck stop. Trey just turned 3 years old on August 19th after he had that 2-homer game on August 18th, knowing that his wife, Misty, was in labor. Now you've got Michael Young at the plate, and he's going to rake one into left center field. Very first pitch from Sean Green, Michael Young with an RBI. Here come the Rangers. It is 8-4.
No doubt the Rangers can string some hits together. Pretty good evidence of that. That's his first hit. He struck out and hit to a couple double plays in the game. That hit was due.
155 base hits now in 2007. After the 1-0 game on Sunday, I mean, here we are just a little bit later in the week. There have been games of 33 runs, 16 runs, and now 12 runs. The Rangers and their opponents. Here are the numbers on Sean Green.
Well, we talked about O'Flaherty, how he was 7-0. Sean Green's 5-1. If you take the guys in the Mariner bullpen right now, what they've done for the Mariners, their win-loss record is 19-4. So that's pretty good evidence that the bullpen for Seattle has been one of the key ingredients in the success they've had this year. But just Green and O'Flaherty together are 12-1.
Yeah. That just gets you the bridge to J.J. Putz.
Yeah. Rangers just one long ball away from making this a little bit of a nail biter for Seattle.
Oh boy, didn't need that though. 4-6-3 DP. That will throw some water on the fire. 1 run in, and we are now at the end of 8. It is 8-4 Seattle. Cameraman Dave Curlis, and text Rangers Ticks to MLBGO. Dave's doing it currently. You receive a return text message with details to purchase half-price Ranger tickets. The offer good for Tuesday and Thursday home games coming up. Standard messaging rates to apply. So Dave almost done with that. Now about to go back to camera duty. Chopper, Jose Guillen is out. Dave pretty much does whatever we ask him to, which is very nice. We've asked him to play the air tuba. He almost did it right there. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. What's the deal with your glasses there, Dave? They're kind of swung open. Oh, there we go. Okay. That's the saloon style
blinders on.
Glasses. They swing out like the saloon doors. There's a big swing right there by Raul Ibanez.
A good job by Mike. He came in and threw one pitch. Vidro hit a home run on it. Since then, he's given up a couple of singles, struck out a couple of batters.
Yeah, it was like one just to get it out of the way. One pitch, gone, home run. And since then, no problems. This could be another game where the Rangers end with somebody throwing 3 or more innings for them. Murphy can't get this one. It's going to skid by him, and Ibanez coasting into second base. He was kind of the last guy, the last Mariner not to be in some kind of hot streak at some point in 07, and now here he is. Adam Jones is going to run in for Ibanez. Pretty nice swing right there. So here's Beltre. He's going to curl one towards right field. That jumps. Cruz is there. Jones just into the game, tags and goes second and third. Didn't really have time to get settled. There he is scampering to third base. 2 down.
Jones is one of the more highly touted young minor league players. Kid with excellent tools. Figures to be a fixture in the Mariners outfield for years to come when he gets his chance. Right now it's filled out in the outfield with Ichiro, Ibanez, Guillen, all playing well, all veteran players in the pennant race.
Sexton with a foul. The Rangers in the bottom of the 9th, looking at Cruz, Saltalamacchia, and Murphy. Sexton's going to take, and he's trying to avoid the indignity of a 4 strikeout game tonight. We've talked about Sexton, though, as a guy that, yeah, you just kind of take the strikeouts as part of the whole deal. He's going to hit you home runs. He's going to play a solid first base. I think the Mariners would love to see him hit for a higher average, though. He's dipped back down to 209 with his 0 for tonight.
Yeah, even though he's never been a huge average guy, he's definitely not a 209 hitter. Sexton, for his career, actually is a 269 hitter. His first 2 years with the Mariners, that's exactly what he has hit. 263, 264.
Well, and he does get a base hit right there to open it back up to a 5-run bulge again. It is 9-4 Seattle.
Like the 2 years Sexton had for Seattle, he had 263, 264, 39 home runs, 34 home runs, 121 and 107 knocked in with 36 and 40 doubles. So he's done exactly what they wanted him to do as a power hitter. Played every day and put up big numbers. Average is down a little bit, and so are the other numbers this year for him. Kind of a down year. But you still have time to salvage it. Forget about the personal numbers. Know that you're in a pennant race, and you get hot the last 6 weeks, put up some big numbers the last 6 weeks, and just forget about what the overall numbers say.
Oh, Mike Wood continues the run of comeback theater tonight. A lot of ground balls back to the pitchers tonight. And speaking of comebacks, maybe the Rangers have one in them. They'll need 5 to tie in the bottom of the 9th. It is 9-4. Texas Ranger Baseball brought to you by Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the Rangers. Visit southwest.com. By Progressive. For a money-saving car insurance quote, call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. And by your Texas Ford dealers, bold moves. Ford is the best in Texas. Now the Rangers will have to rally big time in the bottom of inning 9. Yesterday was all about the 30-run explosion in Game 1. They followed it up with 9. That has shrunk down to 4 tonight, and now they've got to face J.J. Putz. Now, Putz is a guy that he's always had good stuff anyway, Tag, but when you talk about putting it all together now, he has done exactly that.
If you're talking about a 146 opponent's batting average and a 140 ERA.
That's what I'm talking about.
I would probably agree with you.
I'm talking about a chance to save 45, maybe 48 ball games this year. Remember, the Mariners had Sasaki from Japan. Was their dominating closer earlier in this decade. There's Cruz, base hit.
Low line drive that was hit hard. Cruz makes it a 1-for-3 night. He also walked his first time up.
That was a very nice way to start out right there. Now we'll bring up Jared Saltalamacchia next. Salty has finally been flexing those power muscles that we had heard so much about. He had 4 home runs on the road trip. Added 1 tonight. So it's basically 5 home runs in a week. Lining this one foul in the crowd of close to 27,000 here tonight. Cincinnati's defeated Atlanta. Got it done in 12 innings, 9-7. The Mets lost. Well, the Mets, the Phillies, and Saltalamacchia's former team, the Braves. Those were among the participants in the National League dogfight we were talking about earlier, that NL East. Mets, Phillies, Braves. They're within 6 of each other. NL Central, you got 3 teams within 2 games of each other in the loss column. Puts the former Michigan Wolverine. I'm going to get Saltalamacchia.
That's almost not fair to throw a pitch like that. 95 to 96 miles an hour, and then you finish it off with that kind of a splitter.
Wow.
Watch this ball drop. Drops like a knuckleball. It's 86 miles an hour. I don't think they've invented the hitter that could hit that pitch. Maybe Vladimir Guerrero could, but I don't think anybody else could hit it.
Putz having taken over not for Sasaki, but really for Eddie Guardado. Remember Guardado for about a year and a half became the Seattle closer. And those guys were tight. Putz says he learned a lot of tricks of the trade from Guardado. One strike pitch to Murphy, down and outside. Putz is a guy who I guess takes a pretty similar route that a lot of big league closers take, Tom, in that they're not really developed as closers. This was a guy that was a starter in the minors, but then you break him in as a guy kind of in long relief out of the bullpen. You see what he's got, and slowly but surely he gets bigger and bigger roles, becomes a closer. C.J. Wilson, I think you can look at as a guy that might be taking that route as well.
Yeah, that does happen. That does happen to some pitchers, and I think a lot depends on their repertoire. Some guys are more suited to pitching often in shorter stints than they are to throw a lot of pitches every 4 or 5 days. Some pitchers have stuff like Putz, who's throwing 96 miles an hour with that hard splitter that he throws, perfectly suited to being a closer. And as valuable as a closer is, it's not like you're telling a guy to take a demotion, go from starter to closer. If you can be a closer, that's an elite position on the ball club.
And a dominating minor league closer doesn't always become a dominating or even decent major league closer. A lot of the majors' quality closers were actually converted not from the starting rotation but from other positions entirely. Trevor Hoffman was a shortstop. Troy Percival, a converted catcher.
And Brian Harvey was a catcher too.
Yeah. There's a long list of closers that had 0 minor league saves. Guys like Rick Aguilera, Rob Nen, Jeff Shaw, Billy Wagner, Mariano Rivera.
Probably Tom Henke too. I'm not positive on that one, but I think Tom was pretty much a starting pitcher in the minor leagues. He might have gotten converted to a closer right at the end, so he might not be one.
Well, Eric Gagne pitched just twice in relief in 87 minor league appearances.
One thing you're seeing coming into the draft is, probably in the first couple of rounds of the draft, you're seeing closers come out of college. Houston Street, Chad Cordero, just to name a couple. Some other high ones that haven't quite established themselves at the big leagues yet.
Murphy continues to hang in. Now, the one thing about a closer that you always hear, I mean, it's obviously it's about the stuff in large measure, but it's also got to be about the mindset, right?
Yeah, you have to have the right style, the right attitude, the right demeanor to be a closer. Some guys are suited for it, some guys aren't.
Ground ball, Betancourt spins around and fires. What a play. He got him.
He took an RBI hit away from David right there. Betancourt, we mentioned earlier in the game, has made some errors this year, but you can see the kind of defensive player he is when he makes a play like that. He's got good range and a real strong arm. The ball had a chance to get up the middle, but Betancourt closed on it. Knew with David's speed he had to get it to first base pretty quickly, but that's no problem when you've got an arm like that.
So the Rangers, who do have 10 hits tonight, still are trailing by 5 runs. And it comes to Travis Metcalf now with 2 out and the score 9-4. Again tomorrow, a 7:35 game again. Kevin Millwood on the mound against Felix Hernandez. From an 8 RBI Wednesday, to a 1 for 3 with no RBI Thursday for Metcalf. They're trying to cash in Cruz, though, right here. Quick reminder that Rangers Live follows our action tonight. Puts with the 2-1. And a wave and a miss by Metcalf. Oh, here's a little quiz for you, Tag. Who's hosting Rangers Live?
That guy right there. The guy waving is.
It's What's My Line?
That guy over there, too. The other guy is.
I think that's John and Mac.
That's pretty good.
Oh, sorry. I blew their cover.
They're
sorry.
sleeping.
And now a taken called third strike to end the ball game. The Rangers, I'll call it a hangover effect if you want to. You call it some good pitching from Seattle tonight.
Yeah, I think that had most to do with it.
Yeah, call it a big night from Ichiro.
Good pitching at him tonight.
Ichiro 3 for 5. The bases loaded double. Your Gatorade player of the game. Well, one thing we can definitely call it is over. Seattle wins it 9-4 as the Mariners continue to breathe hot breath down the necks of the Angels in the AL West. For Tom Grieve and Jim Knox, Josh Lewin inviting you to join us at 7 o'clock tomorrow for Ford Rangers Live. Getting you ready for a 7:35 first pitch. Again, your final here tonight at the ballpark, Seattle 9 and Texas 4. Stay tuned. Rangers Live coming up right away on FSN Southwest.